Hello, welcome to another edition of the Stench of Truth. Today I'm going to be working from a script which I have tried to avoid in the past, but I have several issues I want to bring up, and it's best done with pen to paper. This episode is being brought to you on behalf of a radio talk show host today who was going on and on about how he was just flabbergasted at the audacity of Hugo Chavez and his partnership with Joe Kennedy to provide low-cost heating oil through Citgo to people in this country, and how it was just a blatant publicity stunt on the part of Hugo Chavez, the evil leader of Venezuela, and how he was just trying to bribe the American people into having a better view of him as not being some sort of evil, incarnate man down there in South America. And it got me to thinking that just like this radio talk show host is a far-right person himself, it made me think about the far-right in general and how they live in some sort of fantasy world where the United States is like an angelic world leader, helping all and sundry and doing nothing wrong in the process. Let me take a moment to stop here and to highly recommend that you watch and listen to the 2005 Nobel acceptance speech of Harold Pinter, which he won for literature, which will touch on some of the same things that I'm talking about here, which also served as some of the impetus for this particular edition of the Stench of Truth. Apparently it is a firmly held belief by the ridiculous far right that there is nothing the U.S. can do wrong, and the various leaders of other countries who try to portray themselves as something other than what they are, i.e. like Hugo Chavez is doing with his plan with Joe Kennedy to provide low-cost heating oil in this country. I don't need anybody to tell me this is a publicity stunt, that Hugo Chavez is trying to get public opinion in his favor so that he might have people view him in a more beneficial light. Only a complete idiot would not be able to see that. What astounds me is that this radio talk show host, and apparently all of those on the far right, hold this view that whenever anybody else does this sort of thing, it is just appalling. But when the U.S. does it, that's just fine and wonderful, and it's just all part of the great angelic United States government. So they also go on to point out how Chavez doesn't really care about those people in America. He's just trying to drum up this public opinion in his favor. Well, of course. Of course he is. I know Chavez doesn't care about people in this country. What do you think, I'm stupid? You must think everybody in the country is stupid to think that maybe there are some people who believe that, but the vast majority do not. They know it for what it is. It's a ploy, of course it is. But again, I have to ask, does America, i.e. the administration, care about America and the people in this country? When we have countless homeless, we have handicapped and paralyzed veterans, we have children in poverty, we have children without health care, we have underfunded schools, we have a failing and rotting infrastructure, and we have, of course, the fascist corporate state, which is well funded by our federal government. While at the same time America gives billions to other countries to help them and influence public opinion in our favor, which is just fine and dandy, but don't let anybody else do it like Hugo Chavez. So, we give millions and billions of aid to foreign countries every year, while there are people in this country who suffer for want of something. So I say, when there is one person in this country who does not have something that he or she needs, then there should not be $1 of foreign aid going to another country for any purpose whatsoever. Until this country can help and nurture its own citizens completely, there should not be $1 of foreign aid spent. Period. That's just the way I see it. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's just my view on the matter. So, we give foreign aid in an effort to help influence public opinion in our favor, to show us as benevolent givers of goodwill, and that's okay according to the far right. But what's not okay is whenever someone like Hugo Chavez tries to do the same exact thing. What a bunch of hypocrites. Okay, so maybe you might be saying to yourself, well, yeah, okay, well maybe that's all right, and maybe you're right about that, and maybe that is sort of a double standard, but at least the United States stands for democracy. By God, we stand for democracy, and we want to have democracy all around the world so people can have a democracy for themselves. After all, isn't that what we're doing over there in Iraq and Afghanistan? No! It's not, because that's not what this country has stood for. The U.S. has either overthrown or helped to overthrow democratically elected governments in Chile, Iran, Haiti, Hawaii, Cuba, Puerto Rico, Guatemala, South Vietnam, Afghanistan, and Iraq, just to name a few. So, we don't stand for democracy because we've either directly overthrown or helped to overthrow democratically elected governments throughout the world. So, maybe you have to grudgingly give me that, you far-rightists, and say, well, maybe that's true, but at least we don't support dictators and those who ruthlessly suppress the populace. Wrong again! Because we have supported dictators in El Salvador, Nicaragua, Guatemala, Honduras, Panama, Cuba, Iraq, Iran, Nigeria, Uganda, Bolivia, South Africa, Pakistan, Brazil, and Taiwan, to name but a few. So, I don't want to hear the high holy dudgeon of all of those ridiculous people on the far right who want to act holier than thou and like the U.S. is some just wonderful, benevolent, Holy Spirit passing out goodwill throughout the world. And anybody else who tries to get on that same bandwagon needs to just get the hell gone. I can't stand it. If we can do that by sending foreign aid out, then God bless Chavez for coming up with a plan in partnership with Joe Kennedy to provide cheap heating oil for low-income families in this country. Publicity stunt? Sure, absolutely. But is it any different than anything that we do by giving foreign aid to other countries? So, I don't want to hear it anymore from the far right in their condemnation of these various people. And I don't want to hear it in their condemnation of harsh dictatorships and evil regimes whenever we have been the perpetrators of the overthrow of democratically elected governments, and we have supported dictatorships ourselves. So, I don't want to hear it, because it's falling on deaf ears with me. Thank you, and good night.